Free the people of Palestine!
Long live the Intifada!
Long live the Intifada!
Intifada! Intifada!
Intifada! Intifada!
Stop U.S. aid to Israel!
U.S. aid to Israel!
Stop U.S. aid to Israel!
Coming out, and we're going to build solidarity. International Day of Action is happening globally today around the world, and we need to build solidarity. We need to build an international labor boycott of Israel. Workers have the power, and we need to use that internationally. And today is an international day around the world for Palestine, and workers and young people around the world are protesting. Yesterday, there was a general strike in Italy and a blockade of all cargo to Israel by the dock workers union in Italy, dock workers in Spain, dock workers in France, and also dock workers around the world are taking action. So this is the beginning of an international campaign, and also the struggle in the United States is critical because the United States is a major supporter of genocide. It represents the Zionist regime and is collaborating with the Zionist regime. And it is also supporting militarization of Europe. One of the important things about the strike yesterday of the Italian workers is a demand of an end to militarization, because the United States is demanding that Europe militarize, that Japan militarize, that South Korea militarize. So we have to begin a campaign against militarization. Today there's a danger of an attack on Venezuela by the United States, the bombing of Venezuela. Trump has said that the airspace in Venezuela is closed. What right does the United States have to close the airspace in Venezuela? This is the Monroe Doctrine, and it's a desperation of U.S. imperialism that is taking place. That's why this is happening. The United States is declining imperialist empire, and all the trillions of dollars that the United States spends on war, supported by the Democrats and Republicans, has not prevented the decline of the United States. The export of industry, the Rust Belt in the Midwest destroyed the working class people in this country, destroyed their jobs. Their jobs were shipped to the South first, and then to Mexico, and then to Asia. And now the United States is in a trade war with the rest of the world, and Canada, Mexico, many other countries, South Africa. So this is an international struggle that we have to support the people of Palestine, the workers of Palestine. Palestinian people have a right to self-determination. They have a right to the land. We need one state, not two states. We need a Palestinian state, equality for all. That will never happen under the Israelis, under the Zionists. The Zionists have a racist ideology that land belongs to the Jews. This is a reactionary ideology which has been supported by the United States, which is supported by Zionists around the world, and unfortunately is supported by the AFL-CIO, which is actually considers itself Zionist. Workers have fought in their unions to get the AFL-CIO to oppose the regime, the apartheid regime, also to break with the Histadrut, which is with the Israeli Trade Union Federation. The Histadrut Trade Union Federation was set up as an apartheid federation to discriminate against Arab workers for only Jewish labor. And this is a reactionary ideology. They attacked Arabs. They prevented unity between the Jewish and Arab workers. Our position, the position of working people around the world, is that we have solidarity between all workers based on class, not based on your nationality, race, religion, or your color. This is what we need to fight for internationally. And today, November the 29th, we stand with the Palestinians. We call on working people around the world and unions to blockade Israel, to stop the transfer of military weapons. And the ILWU and the ILA, two longshore unions, are critical in stopping the military cargo. We have to do that, as well as the campaign at the Oakland airport to stop the transfer of weapons. So our next speaker is going to be Frank Romano, a lawyer who is an internationalist and was on the flotilla. So welcome, Frank.
Thank you, Steve. My name is Dr. Frank Romano. I'm the owner and participant in the Hondola, and also a recent participant in the Global Samud Flotilla on the Spectre boat. And I want to thank Steve Zeltzer for this invitation, Lisa Milos for informing me about this, and the Italian dock workers union organizing a global movement today for Palestine. And last but not least, my brothers and sisters from Palestine, their inspiration and their resistance. Many global Samud flotilla prisoners, they were recently tortured and beaten and then released from prison as myself. Why were they tortured and beaten? Was it because Ben Gvir, a member of Israeli government, said to treat us like terrorists? No. It's because Israel, the Israeli government, with the U.S. collaboration, is desperate. The genocide is not succeeding. Palestinians are steadfast, determined, in spite of the hunger, the death, and being tortured, in spite of being treated much worse than they treated us activists. The Israelis also, by beating the global Samud flotilla activists, are trying to deter us from sending many more boats to Gaza. But we're learning from the Palestinian steadfastness. As such, we will never give up. To do what? To help free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. But it's not just about freeing Palestine. Liberating Palestine means defeating Zionism, dismantling imperialism, and overthrowing Western colonial domination. The struggle of the Palestinian people against the full power of U.S. imperialism and its crony, Israel, is at the cutting edge of the global class struggle today. The actions by imperialism to commit genocide by starvation and to drown the people of Gaza in blood has got the world attention today. This struggle has evolved, however, into a revolution which resonates with millions of people subject to oppressive living conditions as the Palestinians are. But the U.S. and Israel are afraid of this revolution spreading because it provides people with a hope of obtaining freedom from colonial imperialistic powers, especially in worsening economic conditions. It could mean blowing wind in the sails of social movements in the U.S., in Cuba, Colombia, Brazil, and other countries. As such, to asphyxiate the revolution, the U.S. and Israel advocate that Gazan Palestinians leave Gaza. But since most of the Gazan Palestinians in Gaza will not leave, the U.S. and Israel are now engaging in full-blown extermination of them. Now, let's take a step back. Last June, when I was working with a gondola in Sicily, preparing the humanitarian aid to Gaza, I was invited to participate with the CGIL, an Italian trade union, to participate in a demonstration at Sigonella. Sigonella is an Italian naval base where it's the biggest congregation of U.S. naval vessels and Israeli Air Force in the entire Mediterranean. The CGIL trade union is thus in solidarity with Palestine, as is the Italian Dock Workers Union, who has organized this global demonstration in solidarity with Palestine. Now, a month later, when I was on the Spectre, a GSF, a global Samud flotilla boat, on the way to Gaza, the Spectre and 4 other global Samud boats were bombed by Israeli drones. Those Italian unions I just mentioned, with hundreds of thousands of Italians, in solidarity with Palestine and the global Samud flotilla, inspired demonstrations throughout all of Italy. They closed Italy down, and they forced the Zionist Prime Minister Meloni to send a naval vessel to protect the global Samud flotilla. This is just to remind all of you that of the potential power of your action today. Finally, I want to thank you in solidarity and for inspiring others to stand for Palestine against the Israeli genocide and against the U.S. and those countries that are providing weapons to enable this genocide. So, with respect to imperialist governments controlled by big business in cahoots with the military-industrial complex, please repeat after me. Shut it down for Palestine!
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 One more time, you louder, louder. Shut it down for Palestine!
Shut it down for Palestine!
Grazie.
Thank you, Frank. And Frank has put his life on the line, as well as others, to show that working people around the world are going to stand up and fight for the freedom of Palestine against the war that's being waged on them by Zionists, by U.S. imperialism. And we're having this rally today in Oakland. Oakland is suffering from unemployment. Oakland is suffering from homelessness. Billions and billions of dollars are going to this war on the Palestinians, yet there's not enough money for education, for housing, for healthcare in Oakland and in this country. This is what we're talking about. This war in Palestine is a war on the American working class. It's on the poor people, the working people of this country. The trillions of dollars that are going for war should be going to the working class, the poor people of this country. It is not. Why? Because we have a capitalist, imperialist government. We have politicians who represent the billionaires, not the working class. We in the United States need to unite with the working people, the people of Palestine. They're our brothers and sisters. Our enemies are the people that are running this country, the billionaires, the Democrats and Republicans who vote for more money for Israel. How can they vote for more money for Israel when people are dying in the streets in this country because they don't have health care, because they don't have housing? This is what we're talking about on this day of solidarity with the Palestinian people, this International Day. And one of the things that happened yesterday, which is very important, Roger Waters and others in Italy had their general strike online so you could watch throughout the country what was going on. And internationally, we have to build an international working class movement that unites the entire world working class. That is the power. That is the power to shut down this genocide. That is the power to take on not only the Israeli government, but the U.S. government, which continues to exploit, destroy, and this fascist movement. And this is another example. Today, we're on the precipice of an invasion and attack on Venezuela. What is that all about? That's about the stealing of the wealth of Venezuela, the mineral wealth, the oil. That's what it's about. And that's, in fact, what the Palestinian oppression is about, stealing the wealth of the Palestinian people, people of the Middle East. What our view is, U.S. out of the rest of the world. Shut down all the 800 bases. This is what we're talking about. And this is coming closer and closer because the United States is a declining power. The wealth of the United States has gone to exploitation, has gone to destroy the rest of the world and the climate. We have to unite the world working class. We have to take power, and that is a step that we have to do. So our next speaker is going to be Michael, who is a faculty member and an activist and an internationalist.
Hello, my name is Michael Hoffman. I'm a member of AFT 1493. This demonstration was put together too short notice to get an official endorsement, but I know at least the leadership, current leadership of my union supports this. We are involved in a campaign to divest our retirement from anything having to do with imperialist war making, especially the aspects directly related to the genocide. We are also going through a contract fight. Part of what I've been thinking about a lot lately is everyone feels like, at least in where the people I talk to, they feel like they wish they could do more for other people. But when it comes to actually standing up for themselves, they don't even believe that that's possible. This is our sign for our campaign. Right now, we're in a contract campaign. And it says, faculty deserve a fair contract. And what the hell would that have to do with standing up for Palestinians? Well, I have a lot to say, some of it quite critical about my own union. But the most fundamental thing that seems so obvious to me is that if we can't stick up for ourselves, then we can't do shit to help someone else. And the organized power of workers, like we saw in Italy, that comes from a union that actually organizes and sticks up for itself. That comes from people taking a risk to actually challenge their own boss. That comes from people realizing that if they can come for the Palestinians, then they can come for us. And you may be relatively better off right now, but where is that headed? And how healthy does it feel to live in a society where people are constantly just brutally murdered, and we hear constant lies, and the people who are supposed to be in charge of things make the most absurd, ridiculous, completely dishonest, anti-intellectual arguments like somehow Zionism is the same thing as hatred towards Jewish people, or anti-Zionism is the same thing as hatred towards Jewish people. They have to change definitions at the congressional level to say anti-Semitism includes anti-Zionism. Then, when everybody's pissed about the genocide, they go and they count those as hate crimes. And then they can say, look, anti-Semitism's on the rise. No, the fucking genocide is unpopular, people. It is extremely anti-democratic in the small d sense that our society can continue to fund the mass murder of people who have much more in common with me than I ever will have with someone like fucking Gavin Newsom. For example, our own local bosses are telling us to go to work anyway. Go to work, keep things normal. They are the ones helping to normalize this genocide, because the people who are trying to keep the trains running on time, sometimes they claim that they themselves are well-meaning. They're for social justice. And yet, by not sticking up for ourselves, by not sticking up for others, by organizing and shutting things down, they are condoning and normalizing genocide. They are condoning and normalizing the most authoritarian system we have ever experienced in our entire world, and that is capitalism. Everybody who says, nope, you gotta go back to work, don't disrupt work, now's not the right time, don't withhold your labor. In this country, when people do that, they say, here, I want to introduce you to a very professional NGO who's going to maybe someday introduce you to the President of the United States. So we have this entire apparatus in our country that is fake change. How many people are in the goddamn homelessness nonprofit industry? They probably spend more money funding these nonprofits to pretend like they're solving homelessness than it would take to just open up the goddamn empty warehouses and empty storefronts and empty office buildings and let people live in them. They are not actually serious about solving real problems. And everybody watching this genocide has, not everyone, a layer of people who are watching this genocide have decided, you know what, fuck it. This system is fucking disgusting. But we don't know where to go next. We're out of practice. We're out of practice. Because people don't think they can stick up for themselves, so they don't even practice confronting and organizing and winning anything. When's the last time we actually won something in our movement? The last time there was a mass movement that won something was the civil rights movement, and after that they worked tirelessly to make sure that never happened again. And the labor movement has been under consistent attack, and that is not separate from the ability for our disgusting imperialist state to genocide the people in Gaza and Palestine. Those things are the same thing. If we're not organized, if we don't have local power, if we can't win a goddamn cost of living increase, then we can't do shit for the Palestinians. I wish I was as hopeful as some of my friends, and I'm so inspired. But I also, my main message now to people who've been talking to me about changing the world for a long time is, what are you gonna fucking do about yourself? What are you going to do for yourself? And who are you going to do it with? So I appreciate that we still can make spaces like this to speak our minds. But I think that we got to start also thinking about what are we actually building? Every day, what are we building? Can we give 20 minutes to building a revolutionary movement every day? Can we talk to every single one of our co-workers? Can we talk to every single person who lives out in the streets? Because if we can't shut it down like they did in Italy, then we, the U.S. workers, are not going to be able to stop our government from sending bombs over there. I just want to end with a chant and playing a drum. Thank you for your attention. But also, I want to hear from the other folks who showed up next, because I would love to hear what my friend Timothy thinks, for example. Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine! USA to Israel!
Stop USA to Israel!
USA to Israel!
And Michael was talking about a general strike in Italy. There are people that are calling for a general strike here. Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, called for a general strike against the ICE fascist terrorist ICE raids on the working people of Chicago. And we support that. Also, Sarah Nelson, who's president of the airline flight attendants with the CWA, called for a general strike. But the union bureaucracy is afraid, really, of mobilizing the rank and file and tying the fight for the actions here with the fight of workers around the world. This is not an American issue. This is an international issue. We need to unite workers around the world. Our struggle here is connected with the workers in Palestine, in South Africa, in Korea, in Venezuela, and all countries. We are connected, and that is why we have to break with business unionism. Business unionism says you just focus on your union contract. You don't talk about the trillions of dollars that are going for war. You don't connect it with the Palestinian struggle. You separate these struggles. That's reactionary, and it holds back the working class. We need to unite the struggles of the working class here with the working people of Palestine and the working people all over the world. How can you be silent when all the hospitals have been bombed and people have been tortured and murdered? How can you be silent when all educational institutions have been bombed and napalmed by weapons supplied by the United States? It's a crime against humanity. It's a crime against working people around the world. Our next speaker is Ricardo Ortiz. He's a labor researcher and an internationalist from Puerto Rico. Welcome, Ricardo.
We're here one more time to protest the continuing genocide against the Palestinian people by the Israeli government and its allies, the United States and the European Union countries that also deliver top quality weaponry to the Israeli regime. You know, this is an oppression by the international capitalist imperialist powers. If Israel does not have the back of the United States and other imperialist countries, well, the problem wouldn't exist. But obviously, Israel is the United States and other imperialist proxy in the Middle East. We know that, and we have to say that clearly. So, what we need to stop this ongoing genocide in Palestine is creating working class, anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist movements in this country. People have to stop supporting the oldest running capitalist party in the world, which is the Democratic Party. I recommend everybody a book written by Lance Selfa called the Democratic Party, a history. And you see, and you can compare. Because, the Democrats actually have been in the last century, right at the forefront of invasions to Latin America. Most of the Vietnam War was run by the Democratic Party, starting by JFK, all the way to LBJ, and then, at the end of the war is when the Republicans assume, the office of their corrupt, tricky Richard Nixon. But if you look at the history of Latin America, 1915, who is running this country? It was Woodrow Wilson. And what did they do? They invaded Haiti. 1916, the Republic, the Dominican Republic. 1917, Mexico. Who was in power? A Democratic Party president. Invasion to the Dominican Republic, 1965. Who was running this empire? It was LBJ. Coup against the Godard movement in Brazil, 1964. The Democrats. And, they also have been accomplices of crimes. So don't you think that the crap pot Republican parties are the only ones involved in the genocide? The pathetic, lying, liberal Democratic Party has been involved to the core. And we got to be certain of this. Right now, not only the Trump administration is sending weaponry and supporting Israel in its mass murdering of the Palestinians. Now they are announcing that they, last night, might invade with land forces the country of Venezuela. Since September this year, all sorts of movements against Venezuela have been done. Sending planes and naval vessels all through the Caribbean, to Puerto Rico, to Trinidad, Tobago, to the Virgin Islands. A couple of days ago, the Secretary of War went to the Dominican Republic and had his puppet over there, Luis Sabinar, by the way, he's a social democrat, to support the U.S. to use one military base in the Dominican Republic and another airfield. So, the United States has been pushing through provocations, also sending, troops to Trinidad Tobago. And today, the Prime Minister of Trinidad Tobago admitted that the U.S. Marines have been there to install supposedly raiders. Why the Marines have to be in such a close location to Venezuela, putting radars? I mean, so you can, reach your own conclusions, preparing for probably an airstrike or who knows what else. Now, talking about Venezuela, for example, in 1908, the United States Navy helped the then President Vicente Gomez to stage a coup and become the ruler for decades of Venezuela. And what did he do during his presidency? Right immediately gave rights to the then Standard Oil Corporation to appropriate the oil in Venezuela. And this president was so cruel that, in the history of Venezuela, people, tremble when they, hear about, what happened under his rule, under the tutelage of the United States. And then from 1948 to 1958, again, a cruel despot dictator called Pérez Jiménez, he ruled the Republic of Venezuela. And many people from the even democratic bourgeois parties had to go on exile because this cruel dictator kidnapped, sent to torture students, teachers, activists, workers, leaders, right there in Venezuela. And, he was deposed by popular uprising. And then the U.S. had liberals running Venezuela at their behest, particularly the so-called Partido Acción Democrática. Venezuelan people call them adecos. And, it is very well known that one of these followers of democracy Carlos Andres Perez, was in the pocket of the United States intelligence services. Now, let's move far forward a little bit close to us. Obama, the supposed friend of people that, killed people in Libya, continue the war in Afghanistan, and deposed the president of Honduras, President Manuel Zelaya, on a CIA coup. He, in 2015, wrote an executive order with sanctions against Venezuela, giving all green light to the American imperialist agencies to spy openly in Venezuela. That's Obama. So that's more lessons for you that never support the Democratic Party, which is the trash can of social movements. So what we need in this country and everywhere else is to form an independent working class party. We got to create workers' councils in all the cities in the U.S. and come to power and replace this then putrid system of oppression, which is called capitalism. It cannot be middle way. Social democracy is also accomplice of imperialism and capitalism. So we have to go back to revolutionary scientific socialism to really be effective, establish working class governments throughout the world, and end up this system of war and misery that is capitalism. Thanks.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Okay, as I say, my name is Matthew, and I don't have a lot to really say other than how Zionism and the hatred it espouses has been brought home to me personally. For well over a year and a half, my wife and I have been to protests. We have been not only for this cause, but for others, against ICE, against homelessness. And we are very vocal with our politics, and we display our politics in our windows. And we are surrounded by people who disagree and outwardly hate people who express these views. We are not anti-Semitic, we are anti-genocide. We are not unpatriotic, we are anti-violence. And our neighbors, by and large, give us dirty looks because many of them are Zionists and many of them don't want us to even say what we feel because for whatever reason, they don't like us, they never have. But we're not moving. And this came to a head when Zionists were posting racist, insulting stickers outside of our apartment. And I, being offended, took them down. And one of these people that lived in our building saw fit to attack me in front of my apartment. She destroyed all the artwork that my wife had posted on our door, which is our legal right. She tried to force her way into our apartment, and when I opened the door, she immediately punched me in the face. And she continued pummeling me until I'd had enough, and I shoved her away. Of course, I called the police, I do the right thing, I'm a good citizen, all the things I'm supposed to do. And the response was, well, she hasn't been sleeping well. This is an anniversary of many losses in her family. Well, I say I have buried 10 of my close family members the last fucking 20 years, and I've never laid a hand on anyone. Yet this lady has a temerity. She has the privilege of being blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and Zionist, and a Democrat to come to my place and put her hands on me. And I cannot fight back because I'm 19 years younger, and guess what? When I put my shoulder to this bitch, down she went. And when she came after my wife, down she went. And guess what? The police said, well, you know what? She apologizes for everything. And we don't want her to go to jail. We want her to go to the hospital, be checked out, because there's something wrong with her. There's nothing wrong with her. She is filled with hate, filled with anger, and she sees, since I'm a nice guy and I smile, I'm a target. Now, I'm not saying that what happened to me is in any way comparable to what is happening in Palestine. It's not. There's no comparison. What I am saying is that hatred breeds violence. And that's what we have in our towns, in our states, and in our country. And it's spreading around the world, and it continues to this day, and it continues in this moment. And the only reason I'm out here saying this is because it touched me, not in a personal way, but in a physical way. And yeah, I'm angry about it. But no, I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. I'm going to say, I'm going to be out here even more. I'm going to hang those signs in front of people. I'm going to continue with these slogans that she and I put together. And that's just me. That's just my personal story. I'm not a speaker. I'm not a luminary. I'm not even a survivor. But I care. And this is not the country I want to live in. This is not the country I was born into. And this is not the country that my family emigrated to for a better life, just to have this happen now. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening. And free Palestine.
Free Palestine!
Free Sudan.
Free Sudan!
Free Congo.
Free Congo!
Free Lebanon.
Free Lebanon!
End the Zionist threat. End the Zionist entity.
And the Zionist threat and the Zionist entity.
Okay, now I'm done.
So today around the world, working people are speaking up to end this atrocity, to end this crime, this global crime against Palestinians, and stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine. We will not be silent, and we will organize for power, because that's the only thing these imperialists, these criminals understand. The fascists who run the U.S. government are in deep crisis. That's why they're attacking each other. They're attacking about jailing each other. Why would they talk about jailing each other other than they are in crisis and they have no solution, these gangsters, to this crisis of capitalism? Because it's a system problem. It's not a personality. It's a system of capitalism that is based on exploitation, is based on exploiting people and destroying the wealth of the world for the purpose of the billionaires and the capitalists. And right here in the Bay Area, these techno-fascists that Peter Thiel and David Sachs and Sam Altman are using technology, AI, to get rid of workers. That's an existential crisis. They're trying to destroy the lives of working people for more profits. And they're using these technology also to attack Palestinians. The Israelis are using the AI to kill Palestinians, to murder them and their families, to chase and kill journalists. And hundreds of journalists have been killed by the Israelis with the support of the United States. So when Trump attacks a journalist, he's not just attacking these journalists here, he's attacking journalists all over the world. And in my union, I've been fighting for my union, the Newspaper Guild and the CWA, to take a stand, to organize, to educate. They don't want to do it. How could that be? How could my union, which represents journalists in this country, not organize to defend the Palestinian journalists? Who are they? Who are they? To not take up the struggle to defend Palestinian journalists is complicity with the murder and the assassination of journalists. That's what it is. Your hands are bloody. Your hands are bloody. When you see genocide, when you see murder of your own profession, and you are silent, and you don't stand with them, you don't call for an end to U.S. military aid to Israel, you are in complicity with that action. And that is the problem we have in the United States. Our unions are pro-capitalist, are pro-imperialist. They don't want to fight against the military budget. Unions all over the world are opposed to expanding military budgets. Why? Why are they opposed to military budgets? Because it comes out of the hides of the working class. It comes out of poor people. It comes out of people who need housing and health care and education. But in this country, the union bureaucracy is silent. How dare them? How dare them be silent about militarism and the trillions of dollars going to the war? We need a revolution in our unions. We need a revolutionary movement that puts aside this collaboration with Zionism, this collaboration with U.S. imperialism. We have to stand up and act. The struggle of workers in Oakland, in San Francisco, in Alabama, in New York, in Chicago, in Los Angeles is a struggle of workers all over the world. And we have to tie those connections. We have to make those connections. And we will make those connections. The reason is that you cannot get out of the way of this system. There's no way of going someplace. People have talked about leaving the United States. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? The rise of fascism is a global phenomenon. It represents the fact that this system, this capitalist system, has no solutions other than fascism. That's why we have to organize here. That's why we have to organize and fight in our unions, in the working class for action. And there will be general strikes in this country. And Trump and Musk and these people are provoking them. They're good agitators. They're provoking a general strike in this country because they're saying it's my way or the highway to the entire people. They're saying you follow me or I'm going to destroy you. That means that working people have to fight. Working people have to be organized. That's why the call for a general strike in the United States, we have to unite around that. We have to mobilize for a general strike. And the capitalists are afraid of that. In this city, in 1946 was the last general strike in the United States. When store workers went on strike, and they went on strike, they went out on strike, and they were supported by the transit workers who shut down a streetcar here in Oakland. And thousands of people went into the street to support that strike. We need that same kind of action now. We need that action against ICE. We need to shut down these cities. We need a general strike in Oakland and in California. When the military comes here, we can have protests. We do. We should warn people, but we have to shut down the system. That is what's going to stop these attacks. Stopping the profits, stopping the airlines, shutting down the system. This is what we need in this country and around the world. That's what the Italian workers did yesterday. They had a general strike to shut down the country with mass demonstrations, and they're rallying today in Argentina and around the world for the Palestinians. So this struggle here that we're having is important, and it's connected with the international struggle. The fight here for Palestine is a fight for all people of the world. That is what we're talking about. This is the united struggle of all people. And the fear that they have, Roger Waters in a song yesterday, in conjunction, this is the first online general strike in Italy, seen worldwide, globally, that they were able to show. What a song says is when people stand up and they lose their fear, they have power. Their solidarity in losing their fear brings power for all working people. And that is true. The spirit of working people, the spirit of solidarity can break through the barricades, can break through the intimidation. This is what we have to build. This is what we have to strengthen. And it is coming. It can't be stopped. And when working people wake up, it will change the world. And one of the things about the fascists is they talk about wokeism. Wokeism. What is wokeism? Wokeism is about waking up about the history of this country, about why people from around the world were forced to this country. Filipinos, with the imperialist war against Spain, forced Filipinos to come here, forced Cubans to come here, forced Venezuelans to come here. Immigrants to this country were forced out of the countries they live in because of imperialist war, because of these sanctions and economic war the United States is having. And then they get blamed, like the Mexican farm workers who were thrown off the land during the privatization of NAFTA, were driven to this country and then get blamed for this crisis. This is what the capitalists do. They exploit people, they force people to migrate, and then they attack them for being part of the problem. No, they are not part of the problem. The billionaires, Trump and the capitalist class are the problem. That's what the problem is. That's what we have to say, and that's why the majority of these people in this country want to fight the oligarchy. They want to fight Musk. They want a fascist, and that consciousness is growing in this country. People see that this is a system problem. People see that it's a problem of a capitalist system that's destroying our rights, destroying Palestinians, that's destroying people all over the world. So this is a beginning. It's going to continue, and we can win. We can win. Again, with wokeism, they're worried about wokeism. They're going to get wokeism. They are going to get wokeism because the people of this country are going to wake up. And when they do, millions of people in the street, there's nothing that can stop it. these fascists and gangsters will not be able to stop it. When millions of people rise up and see their collective power, that is the power to transform this country and to transform the world. And it is going to happen. We have no choice. And we have to put the word out to organize politically. We have to organize and let people know this is the history, this is the tradition of the United States. The United States has a tradition of struggle. The IWW, the workers in this country fought to build unions. They fought for democratic rights, and we have to continue that struggle. And this is a powerful thing, and this is part of our history and our lesson. So solidarity with the people of Palestine.
Hands off Palestine! Labor blockade of Israel! General strike now! An injury to one is an injury to all!